Welcome to The Daily Decrypt, the go-to podcast for all things cybersecurity. Get ready to decrypt the complexities of cyber safety and stay informed. Stand at the frontier of cybersecurity news, where every insight is a key to unlocking the mysteries of the digital domain. Your voyage through the cyber news vortex starts now.
Welcome back to the Daily Decrypt. Doja Span here, and I'm going to discuss some recent cyber news. Today, I've got a recent AnyDesk breach where users' data was leaked out. We're going to dive into some Chrome privacy. Google is phasing out some old features, bringing in some new. We're going to cover off some pig butchering scams. We'll, of course, explain what that is in a little bit more depth. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about critical infrastructure and what that means for you. So kicking it off today, we have our first article titled, AnyDesk Hacked. Popular remote desktop software mandates password reset. This one comes from the Hacker News, and it discusses a significant cyber attack on AnyDesk, which is a popular remote desktop software maker. So for anybody that's unfamiliar, AnyDesk is a remote control for computers, and think about it as a remote access software, similar to TeamViewer, what we've discussed in the past. Splashtop, I think that's a popular Mac one. I'm not super familiar with it. And then, of course, you got Microsoft Remote Desktop. The biggest difference with some of these is that TeamViewer and AnyDesk, it's a remote tool that you can just log in from anywhere, providing a username and password. Similar to TeamViewer, AnyDesk revealed that there was a breach in their production systems, and they're letting us know that it's not a ransomware attack, but we're still getting some details. The breach's scale is overall pretty alarming. They have 170,000 customers, and these are including big names like LG and Samsung. AnyDesk has responded swiftly. They're revoking old security certificates, and the main thing is that they're urging users to update their software, change their passwords, and enforce any other security controls that you have. Now, what does this mean for you? If you're using one of these tools like TeamViewer, AnyDesk, it really doesn't matter what it is. The main thing that you want to keep under your belt is having a strong password, enabling MFA if possible, or just waiting till you get home to use that computer. This next article comes from Bleeping Computer, and it's focusing on Google Chrome's move to phase out third-party cookies. Before we dive in, I do want to provide an explanation as to what a cookie is. And a cookie in internet terms is a little piece of data that's stored on your computer by a website you visit. And it's the website's memory of you, and it's saving preferences like logins and anything else related to what you would be needing to interact with that website. There are other types of cookies that you should be aware of, and they're called third-party cookies. Third-party cookies are created by websites other than the one you're currently visiting. These are often used for online advertising, tracking, and this is really what raises the privacy concerns. To break this down a little bit further, think of internet activity is like you going out and visiting different bakeries. A first-party cookie is a loyalty card. Now you'll get a different loyalty card from every bakery that you go to, and you scan that loyalty card, and it helps them remember what your favorite pastries are for your next visit. Now, a third-party cookie, however, is like a baker that's snooping, or not so much snooping, but stalking you, following you around and taking notes of your pastry choices. So you don't know what information they're gathering. You don't necessarily even know that there's another baker, but this person is following you, taking notes of all the bakeries that you visit and what you're buying. The baker is interested in understanding what your preferences are so that maybe they can guide you to buy certain types of pastries later. Now, what is Google Chrome doing? Google is testing a new approach. They're gradually phasing out third-party cookies. So that does mean that we're going to have less tracking from advertisers and more privacies for the user. Google is introducing what they're calling a privacy sandbox. That's just a safe place for certain things to happen on your device. It's going to mean But yeah. It's an initiative to develop a set of open source standards for enhanced privacy on the web. Essentially, it aims to create technology that both protect your privacy online and give companies and advertisers tools to running their business. What does this new feature mean for everyday users? You'll get less targeted advertising, and for more privacy conscious folks, this is really just a big step in the right direction. Ultimately, what's happening is instead of different websites handing out cookies everywhere you go and tracking everything that you do, a lot of this data is going to be processed on your device. So it's not going to be going out back and forth. So to go back to our bakery analogy, Google's privacy sandbox is like a smarter loyalty system. Instead of the baker needing to follow you shop to shop, now each bakery, those websites, has a smart system that understands what pastries you like based on the loyalty card. This loyalty card has all of your data, and each bakery only knows how to access specific bits of information. So it doesn't know that you're visiting XYZ bakery. It just knows that your preferences are. This way, it's giving you proper recommendations. Will this affect any of the websites that you visit and how they work? No, websites are still going to be able to remember your preferences because remember, there's two different cookies. We have the first party and the third party. The main ones, they're the ones that store your login credentials. The others are a violation of privacy. So now we have slightly better privacy. So to sum it up, Google is ultimately working to phase out those third-party cookies and give us a little bit more privacy when it comes to our digital lives. This next article from Dark Reading, it covers a major cyber fraud bust. The country Myanmar hands over mob bosses in a cyber fraud bust. Myanmar authorities have extracted 10 suspects to China. These individuals are linked to organized cyber fraud, money laundering, and human trafficking in the Myanmar and Mekong regions, which this is awesome. I love seeing when the bad guys eventually get taken down because they're doing all sorts of bad things. On top of cyber fraud's already a pain and not great. A lot of people have their lives ruined. We'll discuss that. But human trafficking and everything else that these groups are associated with, that's great. Love that they're getting taken down for this. Among the extradited are leaders of 3 notorious crime families. Now, this move comes after China's Ministry of Public Security targeted such groups in a recent crackdown. So I want to pause a little bit and go into what pig butchering scams are and why that's relevant to this. So picture this, a scammer fattens a pig here. The pig is a metaphor for a relationship built with a potential victim. So they call, they try to, it could be a romance type situation, or it could be just somebody's offering something that just seems too good to be true. Over time, they try to gain your trust, much like feeding the pig, and then they establish that trust. They introduce fake investment opportunities, and some of these are really good. They are full-blown either applications or websites that look like your money is growing. They get you to invest some money, and let's say a couple weeks, couple months later, they turn around and say, "Hey, your account has quadrupled in value," and you think, "Oh wow, take some more of my money." So the butchering part is eventually they get more and more of your money now that you're trusting them, and then they pull the plug out and you realize it was all a scam and your money's gone. So this group starting to get taken down. This is great. Hopefully we're going to start to see a bit of an end to this. Now you might wonder why these scams are so effective, and it plays on people's trust. And unfortunately, it's easy sometimes. Hacking still involves digital aspects of lives and social aspects. I myself, I just got a message on LinkedIn recently. Haven't gotten the chance to vet it so much, but this person reached out. Seems like there might be a decent opportunity there, but I haven't responded. I'm going to take a few extra steps to make sure that everything checks out, that it's not somebody trying to say, hey, let's work on this project. Maybe it's a couple $1,000 investment to get it off the ground and we'll see where it goes. But these things happen all the time. As we say, take your time, pay attention to the details, and if something seems too good to be true, it just might be. This next one, I wanted to discuss a bit more of critical infrastructure and what it means to the rest of the world. So I found 3 articles. I'm not going to go into very big details on each one. They have a similar underlying message. We do have the links in the show notes if you want to go into them. But we have 3 articles shedding light on the increasing cyber threats to critical infrastructure. And I want to try to translate that in a way of what you, the average user, or even somebody that is more technical and interested in cyber or practicing cyber, maybe some things that you can do to help out. So this first one is a revelation from the FBI stating that Chinese state-linked hackers are intensively targeting U.S. critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure is your water treatment plants, can be your water supply, energy grids. Essentially, it's the backbone to our daily lives. The threat here isn't theoretical, it is ongoing, and we've seen this occur in different countries. There was an attack a few years back where Russia did manage to take down part of Ukraine's power grid through a cyber attack. We have another similar article where a group of Iranian hackers, the US is now targeting, as they've sanctioned 6 individuals that have been linked to cyber attacks on these critical systems, including water facilities in the US and within Israel. These incidents aren't just digital skirmishes, they're calculated moves to destabilize and instill fear. Now, this next one, targeting or discussing the UK's cyber risk. We have across the Atlantic, they're facing cyber challenges. They're warning of heightened risks to the nation's drinking water systems. Cyber attackers are increasingly targeting infrastructure, exploiting the growing reliance on digital technology. This is just, again, shedding light that people are attacking what we need to survive on a daily basis. It can be our food supply. I don't know how many companies that are out there that have our food that are in critical infrastructure. So, what does this mean for all of us, the everyday citizen? It's clear, really. Cybersecurity at this point is not just for the tech experts anymore. Everybody has a role to play. You might not think that it's a big role, but it really is a big role. Think of this. Let's say you're in accounting for a power company. Okay. Your exposure is still there. Let's say you download an app on your phone. You're allowed to check work email. You're allowed to check different chat messages. Sometimes your phone's not great at segmenting that data out. So you download a malicious application. You're also using your phone for work. Now there's a chance for the attacker that has this malicious application on your device to start pivoting into your work information. Maybe they're able to get some credentials. That leads to the next step. Then they're able to get into some of your work systems. And from there, that's just climbing a ladder. And depending on how sophisticated they are, it's possible for them to go from one device or one user all the way into the complete backbone of that company, which in this scenario is the power company. So you have an attacker that's just able to escalate their way all the way through. Now, this might seem terrifying for some, and it's always possible. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, that you could be that step into a major breach. There are a lot of small things that we can do, and it's just shifting that thinking. We don't need to be so trusting with the internet. You're receiving emails, like we've said before, there's situations that maybe just are too good to be true, or hesitate just a little bit before clicking those links, because it can really make a huge impact. Now, some of the things that you can do is if you're working for a company, it doesn't matter what caliber it is. It can be a local school or maybe just a small mom and pop shop that does have maybe an outsourced IT firm. If you're noticing that you're logging into anything and you haven't had to enter any codes, that's no MFA. If you're not getting text messages and like validating that you are logging into these applications, there's no MFA. You can stir up that conversation. And based on some of the things that you've heard, maybe on this podcast, maybe in other places, like that's a good first step to securing a lot of these end users, that being you. Maybe if you're working in a larger organization, there's other things that can be done. You're receiving emails from outside the company and they don't have anything that kind of stands out to say, hey, this is coming from a outside entity, somebody that's not within the company. That's something that should stand out. There's always chances of people getting phished within organizations, but it's also possible to happen outside. So anything that you can do to enhance your own security and privacy is going to be a huge asset to not just the places that you work, but even for yourself. Better passwords, better MFA, that's going to help you save your bank account, which can also in turn help save an organization, which then you're still getting paid because that organization hasn't been taken down. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate everybody listening. I do want to give a quick shout out to a fan and also somebody that's been helping promote the show. A happy birthday, Hot Girl Farmer. You have a great day today. And to all of you out there, keep tuning in. Stay safe.